Tracking a shot using the scene data we already have is very simple. We add a sequence camera. Import the shot. And we can track the exact same points we created using the reference photos. For example, we take this point and switch to manual tracking. Here it is, already selected. Place the track point here. And track it. Once we track a few more of these points, the camera will be positioned relative to the existing scene, not just somewhere in space. Also, if we have a camera track that isn't linked to this scene or the correct scale, we can attach it to the scene and its scale. I'll show how to do that. Let's start the auto track so we don't have to struggle with manual tracking and just get a track without survey data. Now a bunch of auto trackers have been created. In the point browser, they are marked in yellow. Since these trackers were created by auto tracking, they have lower priority for the solver compared to manual ones. For now, we'll disable them so they don't interfere with the solve. And I'll solve the camera. So here's our auto track. It solved the camera and generated some point clouds. Let's switch to lineup. Everything is working overall. But we can see that the camera isn't in the correct position or orientation. This is also visible in 3D orientation mode. Here's the camera. It's tiny and is somewhere under the chair. That's not what we need. What can we do? For example, in lineup mode we can position the camera relative to our 3D scene. Lineup isn't just for checking how well the 3D points align with the 2D trackers, it's also used to set the camera relative to the scene geometry. While holding Shift in viewer lineup mode, left mouse button, rotate the camera, right mouse button, move the camera. Use the right mouse button to move forward and backward. And this way, we can position the camera exactly where we need it. For now, the auto trackers are likely to get in the way. Let's disable them for now. And I'll enable the manual trackers again. They'll help me position the camera correctly. Since this shot has one of the enabled points with known coordinates, rotating the camera while holding Shift in lineup mode will rotate the camera around that point. If there are two such points, rotation will occur relative to both, and so on. The more known points, the slower and heavier the rotation becomes. The camera will feel locked between them. Therefore, it's most convenient to start positioning the camera when there's only one survey point in the scene. Rotation will then be free and predictable around it. For example, if we track a second point and return to lineup mode, we'll see that rotation is now constrained to those 2 points. We save the camera using store pose. A red marker appears. After resolving the auto track, we use transposes, transform to snap the camera start to the saved position. I'll disable the manually created points so they don't conflict with the auto trackers. We apply the result. The camera is outside the scene because only survey-free points were used in the solve, and points with known coordinates are disabled. We open transposes and move the motion to the saved pose. The camera will be positioned correctly in the first frame. However, during playback, the scale will likely be off. Exactly. A camera tracked with auto track differs in both position and scale. With transposes, you can not only snap it to the saved pose, but also adjust the scale. Just enable the scale option and fit the motion to the scene. The scale field. Positive values increase the scale, negative values decrease it. If the step size is too small, you can increase the step parameter to the right of the scale field. And now you can see that as I increase the scale, the camera's motion path moves closer and closer to the center. The scene was at too small a scale. We increased the scale so that in the last frame, the camera projection aligns with our 3D scene. We can slightly reduce it to match it more precisely. And in this way, we can play it back. Now the auto track is positioned relative to the scene geometry we built. The camera motion scale needs to be set if we only have one reference point, the start point. We manually adjust the end point. If the end point is known, we can also save the camera position here using store pose. A second marker appears. Now if we resolve the camera, it will reset to its initial position and original scale, which doesn't match our scene. So when we play it back, we see the camera is again not in the right place. Here's our scene. We open the transposes panel. This time, instead of selecting just one pose to snap the camera motion to, we select two, the start and end poses. If there were an intermediate pose, we could select all three. The camera motion trajectory will then be fitted to all the saved camera positions. We have saved camera positions and a camera motion that's not in the correct place or scale, and it gets snapped to the saved poses. If there's only one pose, we set the scale manually. If there are two or more, the trajectory is blended across all selected poses. Then we press transform. And the camera motion trajectory is now aligned to the saved camera positions. I hope all of this was clear, but the best way to understand it is through practice. Make sure to try it out, feel how the process works. Working with the scene, using it in tracking and saving poses are important and applicable techniques for complex shots. So practice and you'll get it.